Hi, and welcome to Keen Minds, where we're covering NBC's The Blacklist. This is Season 5, Episode 10, The Informant. I am Jen, a.k.a. Takata Saeko.
And I am Tessa.
And
how did you like this one? You liked it enough to do a rewatch.
Yeah, I didn't feel like breaking an electronic when I decided to rewatch, so I got through it. I thought the writing was much better. I thought it was more Blacklist. I still, and I will continue to have this issue, because it's not like my main issue of what's happened has gone away. I still feel like it's very dark, and I keep saying that it's very dark. I don't mind dark. I like dark. I love angst. I love torturing the characters and putting them through hell. Anybody that reads my stories knows I do it. I have zero issue with violence, zero issue with emotional and physical and everything else.
You don't want them dead.
I just want them alive at the end of it. And relatively happy. As close to happy as they can get. And so that's going to remain my issue with this. That's not going away unless something happens and the show fixes it somehow. But regardless, the quality of the writing for the episode was much more in tune with Blacklist, I felt like, for this one. I felt like characters were more in character. I felt like it matched up. They weren't, we'll get into it.
What do you mean they were in character? You had a problem last week with Liz not being in character?
She was and she wasn't. I've had a really hard time putting my finger on it. The closest thing I've come to is the fact, one of the reasons I just absolutely loathe last week's episode, which was Ruin. I was talking to the roomie about this. I said, I think part of it is the fact that all we had was that darkness. We had nothing to balance it out. We were just steeped in it and left in it and rotting in it. And that's kind of what was.
What did you have this week that is different?
It just was different. I don't know. I just had a different reaction to it. It wasn't like people were happier per se. It just, you weren't stuck in one point of view. Maybe that's it. I'm not a huge fan of the one point of view episodes. I know you love Kate May, and I do for the mythology that Kate May did, but it's a one point of view episode. And I had some trouble. It's not one of my favorites from that point. Not that the writing was bad at all. Kate May writing was fantastic. But they're just not my favorite. I enjoy the multiple characters all over the place. Does that make any sense? I had a better emotional reaction to this episode than I did the last one. Maybe my expectations are lower. I don't know. But regardless, I felt like overall the writing was more on par with what I expect at the Blacklist.
Okay, that's interesting. I enjoy. I mean, I gotta say, I have no problems with any of them. So I have had no problem with this season. To me, this season has been truly spectacular, and each episode has got better and better. And because I'm not a shipper, so you guys who listen to us, I'm really not a shipper. I'm a theorist. So I mean, I was sad to see Tom go, but I wasn't like this. I mean, the death scene to me is one of the best scenes filmed in The Blacklist. It was glorious. It was just stunning. I loved it. Jen is making all kind of signs at me that I have no idea what they mean. Probably like, I'm going to kill you later, or I know where you live. I have no idea what it is.
Supposed to be move
she's
on.
Laughing, but I think that she's actually sharpening a knife as we speak. Yeah, but I just love it. I mean, and I'm sorry. I feel bad for my shipper friends. I know that this was like really, really tough on them. And I apologize for my liking it.
I would just like to say, well, one, nobody is that I know of is begrudging anybody for liking it or disliking it. Well, I've been begrudged for disliking it, but For as far as I am aware, nobody that I know has begrudged like you for liking it, or anybody else that has liked it.
They just think I'm strange.
We don't understand your point of view, which is fine. It's yours and not ours. But regardless, I would like to point this out. It's not, at least for me, and I can only really speak for myself, it is not just a shipping thing. That obviously influences. Everybody has their influencer, whether you're a shipper, whether you're not. You have something that's going to influence you on a show. My favorite character is Tom Keene. It will remain Tom Keene until the show goes off the air, and then it will stay Tom Keene long after the show has been off for decades. I will look back and go, oh, that's the show that I love Tom in. Because that's the character that I love. I always have one that just grabs me on shows that I'm this deep in for. And it's not.
I honestly gotta say, I like Red and I like Tom, and I remain liking Tom. But it's like, yeah, but I like. How can you like Red and Tom? I like Red and Tom.
I used to, and I used to. I'm not as much of a fan of Red anymore. He's frustrated me one too many times. Regardless, but it's not. What I was trying to say is, it's not just a shipping thing. It comes down to a character thing that it influences because you enjoyed the character so much. Then it kind of
when it's not
ripples
there,
out. It ripples out from there, and so it hit the Tom Keene fans really hard. Because of that. I mean, I've talked to other friends that, their favorite characters are Ress or Red or any number of people, and they're like, God, if I was in your shoes, I wouldn't come back, And, I mean, I've talked to several friends that are part of different camps around the fandom, and they've said that, and, I appreciate them saying that, because, it's people that come from it from a character point of view, that we prefer certain characters, character versus... And I hate saying this because it's not like we don't like the plot, but character-driven versus plot-driven, you're more of the theorist, so you are more looking at the details of the plot. I'm looking at the details of the character development, how they're interacting with each other, et cetera, et cetera. And especially on Tumblr, that tends to be as far as I can tell, the overarching group tends to be very character-driven fans.
And shippers.
But it's not just shipping.
I know. It's shipping is part of shipping is the character thing.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. I found this episode in particular, I enjoyed it very much because I enjoy seeing the resolution from Ressler. So we know that Ressler has been under the thumb of Prescott for this entire probably this is close to 2 years or so. So this has been a very, very long drawn thing. And I love the way they actually I enjoy that they let that steep in for a little bit. It just stay there simmering. And I liked it because by the time they got around to the resolution of that, there was a lot of boiling anger and angst in the character. And I enjoy that very much.
Do we want to start with Ressler? Do you want to start with Ressler and kind of flip those?
Let's do it summarizing around because I guess for shippers of character development people, that was a very sweet moment there that they had.
I thought so. I mean, I've always Samar's fun because she's always gotten that world that Tom and Liz live in. I mean, I remember back in season 2, I guess it was, she was new to the group. She had not been there for the original Tom and Liz fallout. And as Red's sitting there explaining, Red and Ressler sitting there explaining, she's been holding him in a ship for the last 4 years and torturing him for information. But, then he killed the harbor master to save her.
4 months. 4 months. You said 4 years.
Oh, sorry, 4 months. Sorry, Tom, 4 months. Sorry. Poor Tom. We've been worse to him than the writers are sometimes.
Maybe that's where Red got him.
Anyway, but that he'd been there for 4 months and that he had killed the harbor master to protect Liz. And Samar's immediate reaction, I loved it that you had Aram going, "Please tell me you're joking." Samar goes, "Actually, that's really romantic."
I was going to say, yeah, that's romantic, yeah. And Ressler is like, no, I can't believe I'm hearing this.
Poor poor Ress is just like, WTF, what's wrong with you? And that was the exact same reaction he had in this last episode. She said, if I were her, I'd do whatever it took to find my husband's killer. And Ress is like, what? Why? Why are you saying these things to me?
And then it's like, excuse me, Ressler, is this not the man who entered a makeshift clinic and shooting people and killing a guy? I mean, what part of receiving Tanita's head that we never knew what happened to the head? For all we know, it's still sitting on the mantelpiece.
Allie and I were talking about that the other day. I think it was right after this episode, so it must have been last night. She goes, I wonder whatever happened to the head. And I said, back of the bookshelf.
It's somewhere there. I mean, he never said. People would say, look, he's so by the book. No, he isn't. He had the head delivered in a very pretty box too. I mean, I would not have got rid of that box.
Well, I mean, it kind of goes back to, because he never asked for the head. He didn't. But it kind of like the judge said, I never asked him to do it, but I didn't make him put it back. He never asked Reddington to do that, but he also never turned him in for it either. He never, it was, I mean, and I don't begrudge him for that at all. I think that he needed that. I think he needed that closure. I get that. And I think Red did him a great favor in doing that. But
he preserved that innocence for that time.
Yeah. Yeah. And Red's a sin eater. He does try. He just doesn't learn where he needs to.
In the dossier, Liz mentions that she didn't know what happened, but a while later, Ressler should calm her after the Audrey thing. So that must have been when he received the head, and it gave him a measure of closure that it was done, that the killer had been punished, a killer that would never get to justice. So I find it interesting in that regard.
Yeah, but I do. We've talked about Rest before, that sometimes he has a hard time seeing others.
Before we jump into Ressler, can I say something about Tamara and Saram? One of them is going to die.
No, don't say that. No, I'm not doing that to our fans. Whimsy listens to this. Don't do that. Don't do that to me. Don't do that to Whimsy. Don't do that to any of us. No.
See, and then you say, but why didn't you tell me?
No. That's entirely different, because you spent the entire first half of the season going, no, I agree, he's not going to die. We're going to get the wedding at the end. We're going to get this. We're going to get that. You went into details. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a difference there, friend. I'm going to call you on that one.
And there's a reason why I'm saying that this is going dark. Because as soon as they said that, I'm like, okay, one of them is dying.
They better not. John needs to keep his hands off Saram. We have waited too long. He already butchered the Keene family.
But he has no way to go. But in a spy thing, he has no way to go. One of them gotta die.
Okay, don't get me wrong. You know me. I see a lot of spy elements in this. This is not strictly a spy show. It's certainly not strictly a procedural. It is kind of a hybrid of a show. It's got a lot of different genres worked into it. Mm-hmm. I don't think you can rely on... Now, Redemption you could have a little bit better. But you can't rely on just spy tropes for this. And so not everyone's going to die at the end. If they do, I may go throw my television off the balcony.
Not good idea.
Oh, I didn't say it was. It just maybe my reaction. Anyway.
Something evil. Okay. All right. So let's go into Ressler.
Yes.
This was a very major episode for Ressler.
It was a good episode for Ressler. I know that I've got some Ress fan friends that were a little nervous about it, because you always get nervous that they're going to hurt your favorite, especially when they've had some iffy moments. And I've heard good responses from it. I mean, I haven't heard a lot of people just because I don't chatter quite as much as I used to. But, I mean, I've heard pretty good responses for how they handled Ress. As a Ress fan, I very much enjoyed what they did. I thought they did a good job. One of my favorite lines with him when Aram and Samara were teasing him about, not a hair out of place, not a wrinkle in your suit, perfect cop, if you were a crooked cop, no one would ever know. And his immediate, I would. You can just feel the weight on him from everything that's happened.
Yeah, he has been doing this for about 2 years or more.
The fact that he hasn't gotten used to it, though, says a lot. I mean, because some people would just... No, there are some people that can just kind of shift their morality and get used to it. I mean, and Ressler's not one of them. That within itself, while we've talked about how damaging the lack of give that he has can be in this world, you gotta admire him for what he did in this episode. I liked how they handled it, because he's been struggling to find that different path. He's been given... path A and path B, and he's been looking for that third path and hasn't found it, so he's been stuck in the middle. He kind of had a third path thrust upon him, this one, but that's, I'm glad that he did. For 5 seconds, I cannot be angry at Red.
It was, I found the most interesting part of this episode with Ressler. It was a great arc. It had some great moments. Like the judge going out the window was brilliant.
Oh, did that not remind you of Craig?
Yes.
Especially the looks that Red and Ressler got. It reminded me so much of Liz and Red when Craig threw himself out the window. Just that, well, crap, now what?
Oh, I think Red knew that she was going to jump out the window.
No, you think so? Well, Ressler certainly had that face going.
Mm-mm. There was Samar throwing the guy out the window, and then she arrives, and there's a guy the woman just falling out the window. There was, I think, somebody also wasn't it in the forecaster? Didn't somebody flew out the window out of the forecaster? Maybe not. So I love.
I know there was an elevator that gave way.
Yeah, that was it. The part to me that stood out of this episode, it was a great to me for where Ressler started. Being a little bit of a prick with everybody else, and at the same time, he's a guy who accepted a commission to go and do an extra legal assassination of a fugitive and bungle it. So, you compounded by either you say no, you say yes, and you do it. No, he said yes, and he bungled. Did he bungle at the end because he wasn't, his heart wasn't in it? But the fact is that he went there with a crew and he bungled an extra legal execution. So you're going from a character that was right there into this amazing growth over here, where he has seen that the world is not as black and white as he meant it to be, and that there is good and evil in everybody, and that just because people are in the law doesn't make them, necessarily just good because of it. So I love those moments, and I love the fact that he acknowledged that moment with Red, that he thanked him for what he did. And this is, again, a third time that Ressler has been stopped from killing a suspect. Red says, Donald. And I know that some people were like, why would Ressler be drinking to Tom? And I said, well, Tom, on the one thing, was another one that preserved his innocence in his career in the cabin.
And I'm sorry, I know that a lot of, usually they're Keeler fans, and I'm sure other fans as well, various fans that are, that are not fond of Tom to begin with, that they didn't agree that they were friends, and they weren't close friends. I mean, I was kind of the captain of the Bros ship for Tessler. I was always a big fan, and I'm well aware that the size, the amount of fun that I had in that was a lot more than canon gave us on it, but there was a respect. It was kind of a begrudging respect at first, but there was a respect between those two, and it started when Tom went out of his way with no benefit to himself to stop Ressler from making a mistake that would have weighed on his
Cost him
soul.
his career. Yeah.
No, that would weigh on his soul. I mean, for Ressler, yes, career is huge, but I mean,
especially at that point where they had Lauren Hitchens right, on their shoulder. Yeah, that would have been costly.
There was a respect there. We had multiple instances of Ressler admitting how good Tom is, of them giving each other a hard time. I mean, as much as I would have loved them to go out, get a beer, and watch a basketball game together or what have you, it never happened as far as we saw, but there was definitely a respect there, if nothing else. And so I'm not at all shocked that Ressler was there toasting Tom. That, and you know what? That was his partner's husband.
Yeah, I think that it was more. I think it was, he was good in the field, and they were under fire. And, if you think about the military, where do the military camaraderie comes in is when you are under fire, when your life depends on somebody else being there to cover your back. And at that time, that's what happened. I love the moment with Red. To me was huge, because that was, and we're always going to see that Ressler is not going to one day stop rubber banding. He's never going to stop rubber banding. That's who he is. But he did it again at the end. Like, he went in there like, I didn't want that. I just wanted to do this and go and get him to jail and all that.
There's a lot of conflict there, and it's so funny. I think it's going to become a running gag in our apartment because, like, right after the episode, my roomie and I were talking in the kitchen. She walks by where we keep the liquor in the apartment and just grabs one of the bottles of liquor and walks off with it. I said, "Oh my gosh, here we go. We have a new running gag in the apartment. Conversation, grab the liquor, walk off." So that scene with Ressler at the end where it's like, you do not deserve the top shelf. I'm taking it with me. I need this more than you.
Yeah, I didn't even see, like, people say, like, stole it. He just, Red just called him friends, and he had a hard time, and he walked by, he saw the alcohol and said, "Boy, do I need this." And he walked away with it.
I didn't see it as a bad thing. it was funny. I think it added a little bit of, not humor for either of those men, but humor for the audience.
That's your equivalent of the gnome,
Yeah,
that was gnome 1, and then this is gnome 2. He takes a bottle, but this is the progression that Ressler has. Now he's able to take a bottle of alcohol from a criminal, but it's actually his friend, and whatever else they may do and say, that is a friendship of sorts.
There is.
And none of them are, like, super happy about any of this, but that's the hand they were dealt.
It's a begrudging respect. It's the same thing that that Ressler and Tom had. Even Red had a begrudging respect for Tom.
Yeah.
It's all three men kind of had that going between each other. Just a very, very begrudging respect.
And I think that Ressler got a very, very interesting primer here in how Prescott was able to manipulate that evidence. Because I know that I said it, and I wasn't very popular about that at the time. I always said when Ressler was chasing Liz, he did not have it every day that Liz was guilty, that she was not guilty of the bombings. There is a little part of him that kept thinking, I don't know. I mean, she was there. She touched the senator. Do I really know this woman? There's many crooked cops. So he went back and forth. And, one moment she was innocent. And the next day he was going to bring her in. And he went back and forth. A lot of people didn't see it like that. I did. I saw it as he sometimes doubted, and then he said, no, she's innocent, and then doubted again, because the evidence was powerful. And I love that this time he saw how easy it is to fabricate evidence. There he was, threatening this cop.
Oh, yeah, I very much liked that. I mean, it sounds terrible. I enjoyed Ressler's suffering. But no, I thought that was a very clever ad there. And it showed just how clever Prescott is. That Ressler didn't have to actually do terrible things to be manipulated into it.
Mm-hmm. It was an accident. It was more anger than anything else.
And it also explains how Prescott has survived this long. I mean, because he was out there playing football with his kids, team, with a bunch of kids and other parents. Mm-hmm. And, I mean, it seemed like he had very much a double life with this. He's a lawyer. Mm-hmm. And it was very interesting. I thought it was a very clever, for as much grief as I gave the writers last week, I thought that was clever. I thought that there were a lot of very, very clever moments in this one, especially with Prescott, where it needed to be. I'm blanking on her screen name. We were talking about her. She apparently follows your blog, Sam, over on Tumblr. Mm-hmm. What's something... I don't remember. But anyway, she's part of the writers team. She's on Tumblr. She posted something, I think it was last night, because I haven't been watching live. I've just been waiting so I can go through commercials and everything. I've been watching the hour after. She posted something that I saw while it was going live. It said, well, I don't not ship Ressler and Prescott, or something like that. And I was like, what's going on? And then I got to the slap.
That is so bizarre. I cannot even comment on that.
Oh, I get it. It's a goofy thing. I know you don't
Pass.
Get it. Plenty of our listeners will get it. It's fine. But it was funny. I mean, I don't ship them, but I understood where she was coming from. It was funny. Just slap.
Now that was a great moment for Prescott when he slapped Ressler.
And then Ressler just immediately gun under the chin. I was like, get him, Ress. But oh my gosh, when will Ressler learn? If you're gonna threaten someone, make good on it right there. Put the bullet in their head right then.
Well, he knew exactly because he had seen this little locale with all the bodies.
Oh, I know, but still, I'm just like, it was a completely emotional thing for him.
He's a hothead.
He is.
Ressler is a hothead, and he's got a little better, but he's always going to be a hothead.
Oh, you're completely right with that, and that is exactly what happened, but there are so many times that I'm just like, Ress, no.
How about telling Hitchens, like, in her face, like, 15 times, I'm going to get you kill this. Paul, you don't listen to the art of war. You're the master of what you keep to yourself and the slave of the things you say. Shut up.
All of season 4 is like, Ress, no, don't broadcast it, honey. That's exactly this episode when he did that. I was like, no. Stop. Bless.
A character has to have flaws. If he doesn't have flaws, it will be incredibly boring.
Oh, God. They better have flaws.
Which takes us to Cooper.
Oh, Coop.
Cooper knew, Red knew, and Samar was severely suspecting it.
Poor Aram. Aram's the only one left out in the cold there. Sweet little innocent
we don't know that.
That's fair.
We don't know that.
Pillow talk.
Aram keeps secrets pretty good. I always tell people when they say that Aram is an open book, Aram actually deciphered the fulcrum, and he never told us about it. He kept his mouth shut.
Dating Janet again.
Yeah,
Nobody knew. Nobody had any idea.
Mm-mm. He keeps
fans.
Secrets.
Fans knew.
I knew because he was wearing plaid.
Anyway, but with Cooper, I found it very interesting. I loved how because I've been saying for a while that if Ressler, I understand why he didn't. I'm not saying this is like, oh, he should have done this, because I totally understand why he didn't. But if he'd gone to Cooper in the beginning, right after, instead of going to Prescott, if he'd gone to Cooper instead, Cooper would have made it go away. He would have. He would have done something and it would have all just gone away. Because Cooper...
It would have been better if he had called Red at that point.
Yeah. Yeah, honestly, anyway, Prescott. I get why he did it, but still, no. But Cooper watches out for his team. They're basically his children. I mean, he protects that team with his life. And it was very interesting. I very much enjoyed their scene. I enjoy most of Harry Lennox's scenes. He's just...
That was a powerful scene. It was short, but Harry Lennox has a quality that makes even like those little short scenes really powerful, and they count.
He's just an amazing actor. I mean, he's just quality work. But I expect you to do the same for me. Said to me that he's got his own list that he's kept of things he's done that are illegal, that when this is all over, he's going to be willing to take the fall for it. It goes back to season 3 when when Liz was on the run, and Samara said, I don't remember the exact quote, but she talks about basically, yeah, you do things, but you've got to be willing to take the fall for it in the end and face the music in the end. And I think that that's kind of what Cooper was saying was, we're doing this, we're going to see it through to the end, and when we're done, that is when we pay for our crimes. That is when we take we feel this weighing on our souls. It's making us suffer personally, but we're doing it because there's a greater good here, and we're moving towards that. And then we get absolution once we're done.
And I'm telling, this is when I realized this show is going to get really dark. Even darker than I thought. My definition of darkness, because I think that there is a slight possibility that if Red is alive at the end, he will pull a Red and everybody will be fine. Because in my book, Red is running an undercover mission. And in this undercover mission, these people were selected by him to help him with that.
Even if he dies in the end, I could see him getting them out of everything before, setting everything up before he goes. I mean, that's just Red. He has become, contrary to what I think he really meant to happen. Yeah, I think he handpicked everybody, but I don't think he really intended to get as close to this team as he's gotten. I think he's gotten very emotionally attached to the entire team. They've just been through too much not to. He would have to be inhuman.
Be interesting to see what his relationship with the MI6 teams that works with him. Because he said, it's like, you kind of expect that the FBI is the only law enforcement agency that I work with. So we know that besides MI6, there's probably a few more that he works with. So that is, it was a very, to me, it was one of the most powerful moments of the show was that exchange of letters. I gotta say, that was, if you ask me what was my favorite scene, my favorite high emotional scene, that was it. Oh, yeah. That was my highlight of the show.
It kind of reminded me of, was that earlier this season? I think so. Everything's getting jumbled. We've had too many seasons now. It's when it starts getting jumbled in your head. When I'm blanking on her name. The redhead. No, the redhead with the southern accent. Funny wording.
Oh, Panabaker.
Thank you. I feel like it starts with a P. When Panabaker's walking out and he says, "Where are we supposed to get our reputations back?" That's kind of what that reminds. They're not. I mean, they might, but... And see, that's where you and I differ, I think, on the ending. To me, a hopeful ending is them getting their lives. They're always going to have that weight on them. There's always going to be pieces of guilt. There's always going to be that weight. They're never going to be quite the same. And I think, it was Cooper that said it in this episode. He goes, none of us are the same as we were before this task force. That I mentioned last week, I'm a dystopian writer. That's my what I focus on a lot of times outside of fan fiction and such. But that's very much a theme that I enjoy, of the horrors of what they go through, how it changes them. The weight, you don't have to be all happy and smiley all the time for there to be a hopeful ending there. The weight's going to stay with you. The weight of what has changed you, of course, will stay with you. But there needs to be a hope for something bigger and better at the end, even if it's not perfect, because nothing's ever perfect.
Yeah, I tend to look for you a dark ending is an ending where there is no hope. I'm far more fatalistic than you are. For me, I understand that for certain things, they're never going to be better. They're good as they are. You just don't know that they're good as they are. That's a difference for me, is when the character realizes that is as good as it gets. And as good as it gets to me is not fatalistic, it's just the way things are. So for me, when I saw that exchange of letters, just to me says, I know how this is going to end. This is, everybody here is going to pay a very, very high price for this little outing. And I think that the outing will be justified. Janice, I can't believe that she's saying that. Where on earth did I go pick up this weird podcast partner?
We just have very different views on how we see. And obviously the Johns have gone a very different route than I ever would have written this. I mean, but hey, you know what? They're getting, NBC's paying them, they're not paying me. So, maybe someday. But I do take notes. If I'm ever a showrunner, I take notes in what I will and will not do. I think it must just be a terrifying business to be in, though, I have to say. Because I've watched enough shows do some really bizarre things multiple seasons in. There must just be something really bizarre in this level of show business that goes on behind the scenes that I'm just not aware of. And I'm not sure I want to be.
So this scene with Cooper also reminded me, he had a similar he had a scene with Samar in which he was the one telling her, you got to choose a side. He was also the one telling Liz that, he hoped to be that. But then now there is a different thing. I think that this is funny because this is now Cooper is the one telling Liz, I understand perfectly why you want to find the killers. And something that he would not have, he did not tell Ressler, because Ressler is a different person than Liz is. And I think that even Cooper has accepted that Liz is not like everybody else, that she has a darkness in her.
I agree.
So it was interesting to see this moment. And let's talk about Red. He's rich.
Red. I'm so frustrated with Red. Something bizarre that I want your opinion on. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, while it wasn't, like, super straightforward, she found somebody that knew somebody that knew somebody that knew somebody. Liz found Navarro relatively easy. Red has, they made a big show. Made sure that nobody could miss that he was wealthy again. I mean, he's in his suits, he has a personal chef through the whole thing that mixes his drinks. I mean, and in case anybody missed it, he straight up told somebody, hey, I'm rich again, yay. I mean, so, like, they made a big deal over the fact that he's got money, again, that he's got everything put back together.
Yeah, his disposable income to put in one account, it runs in the vicinity of $500 million.
No, 900. 9.
You said it was in the mid, no?
Yeah, mid-9.
Mid-9 figures.
It was mid-9 figures. Okay.
Figures,
okay. Yeah, you're right. Sorry.
Mid-9 figures. So that is his disposable income.
I was giving Red more money than he has.
Just give him another couple of episodes.
Yeah, I know. But anyway, so my question is, why didn't he find Navarro? Because, I mean, Navarro seems like someone that he should have found because he wants those bones back. He wants to shut this up before Liz can get to the bottom of it because he doesn't want Liz to know that he was involved in all of this. He doesn't want... as much as he would like Liz to get closure, I think, on an abstract level, he can't let her have closure because it's going to put him in a bad light, and he knows it.
Navarro, I think, was a feathery goat. dangling in here to get her back.
You
I
think
think
so?
that was
Okay.
oh, yeah.
You think
I
that's why
think
he
that,
left him?
Yeah, well, in fact, in part, I actually think that detective is working with Garvey.
Possibly.
Yeah. Detective Singleton is
didn't
working
trust
with
him.
Garvey. And tell you what, oh yeah, no, he was just scooping out what she knew, and I think that was it. I mean, they wanted her. And I tell you whose voice was the one talking to Garvey, the Internal Affairs cop.
The dead one? Or the guy that
The live one.
I was going to say the one that Prescott,
surgeon.
that Ressler and Samar were talking to. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, he was so dirty. He did not
Prescott
know
had
where
gotten to him. That was all a lie that Prescott fed to him to say. So obviously he was dirty.
Yeah. It's like even the internal affairs in that cop department is dirty. Everybody there is dirty.
Everybody's dirty. Everybody's a dirty cop. Welcome to the Blacklist. Everybody's a dirty cop.
Well, I'm sure that there's some good ones that ain't gonna end up, but there are not that many of them. And I mean, the whole story was like, is it anybody even believing this?
Well, the thing is, Sinclair is either a dirty cop or he's a dead man. And he's one or the other. I mean, he's not gonna, or both. He may be both.
Well, I made recordings of the voice in the phone and then recordings of Sinclair, and it's the same voice. It has a little lilt in certain words and certain things that it was exactly the same. So I know now. I always suspected, and I had this crazy idea that Garvey might be the new FBI guy, the new boss.
I've heard you say that, and it'd be interesting, but he's too willing to be out in the open because, I mean, Tom saw him. Everybody saw him.
But nobody was going to get out alive.
Yeah, but still, when you're that, you've always got to prepare. If he had just shown up to the end with the two in the
at the very least, he's a commissioner of the police department.
Say what?
He's tied to the government. He's tied to the police.
It's possible. I don't know. We'll see. I'm hesitant on that because of how willing he is to show up and get his own hands dirty. Typically, those type of characters will have henchmen do their thing because they're trying to keep their cover. But it's possible. I mean, you could have someone that's just complete, egomaniac that thinks he can get away with anything. He's a psychopath. He's an egomaniac, and he thinks he can get away with, anything and everything. That could be. And that would be very fascinating to see. I do want to stab Garvey in the face, though. That is my reaction to him. The actor is utterly fantastic. The character, I want to stab him in the face.
Here is where you start seeing the part where I was starting to she's just getting those knives nice and sharp. She's stabbing people.
I would very much like to say, not the actor. The actor has been fantastic.
Oh my God, he's so good.
But the character, I just want him to die.
I would love to see him hiring Solomon, just because the juxtaposition.
Okay, I would like him to hire Solomon and Solomon to go, I got kind of fond of Tom, and then kill him.
Oh, that would not be fun.
Oh, that would be a
It'd
lot
fun
of
if they go in a little episode or something. And Garvey.
No, actually, I'm really fond of that. That's my new thing. I'm fond of it.
Coyne is so good at creating Garvey that he just feels slimy. You could just see oozing out of him.
Oh yeah, I felt sorry for the girl in his bed. I was like, listen, honey, no amount of money is worth it, honey. Just no.
But it's gotta be. That was the middle of the day when they call him. So he's out there in a hotel having a signation. Reminded me of the Russian bureaucrat that was having the little. Of course, it was a little more glamorous, but so was he. So.
Well, I mean, the girl in the bed was gorgeous, from what you could tell. I mean, you couldn't see a lot of her, but I mean, she was very pretty from what you can tell, and I'm just like.
And Garvey's married, by the way. Hello, he wears a big ring that is either an Army or Navy, and he wears a wedding ring on the other hand.
Probably not his wife in that bed.
No, I would say in the middle of the day. Nah.
Like I said, egomaniac potentially.
Yeah. Well, there is. I tell you, of all the bodies, I'm really getting to like him. A lot.
You know what? I do have villains that I'm like, I would hate to see you die. Like, you're just such a good villain that I would... Solomon was that
That
way.
was Ansel Garrick. I did not want Ansel Garrick to die.
Fair. You just kind of want him to... Gina Xanatakos is one for me. I love Gina. I always wanted Gina to just keep coming back and being a thorn in Tom's side and harassing Liz. And
I want to see her teaming up with Scotty and Solomon and helping Liz avenge Tom.
I would have paid good money to see her and Liz have to work together. That would have been hilarious. It's not going to happen now, but regardless, that would have been fan-frickin-tastic, and I would have loved it. She's one of those that I just love. I've got other, I'm trying to think if Solomon's the closest thing I could think of in this show. That he was just so deliciously evil that I was going to be really sad if he died.
But he had that thing that he was not just evil because this guy is evil too.
This guy's so evil. Slap him in the face.
What about Solomon was also fun. He had a sense of humor, and he was like, I don't know, I don't feel. No, Ian is not fun, and that was the difference between Solomon and Garvey. Solomon was fun. He was very elegant, and very I am so beautiful. And
we're back to gushing over Eddie.
Yeah, we gotta
Here we go.
Once in a while, we gotta do it.
Once in a while. We did it every episode of Redemption. It was not a Keen Minds podcast until we gushed over Eddie Gathegi in Redemption.
I wish they'd bring him back. But anyway, Garvey is a great villain. He's just a slimy kind of villain because you don't see him having fun. And that scene when he put that thing with Tom and Tom got sprayed with the blood from the chipper. It was a fantastic scene. He puts people through chippers. It doesn't get any better than that.
And folks, we would like to introduce you to Tessa. She is a little crazy. I thought I bordered that line there. Wow. Even I dropped the line at chippers.
It was great.
God.
I love the chipper. I'm never going to see a chipper again in the same way.
Do you look at mini chippers? I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's different locale, but I don't see a whole lot of wood chippers.
Oh, I see them every spring. They're in every fall. They're all over.
Oh, okay. We don't see a lot of them here in Dallas, but
Well, I live up there in the suburbs.
Fair. I was going to say, you're outside of the big cities, so.
I am in a semi-rural area.
Yeah. So I guess that makes more sense.
Yeah, chippers are part of life. And that scene was good. It was, yicky and all that, but it was great.
I told her, the roomie's still, she's never seen the fall finale. She won't ever see the fall finale. Because I told her, I said, there's really no point in it. And she's very...
It was a beautiful scene.
Tessa, no. That's what I was saying earlier.
The fight and the ride to the car were great.
If he had survived, it would have been a beautiful scene. We're rehashing old things. We've already been here.
Yeah.
But regardless, what I was going to say, she's very sensitive towards violence. Where I'm super casual about violence as long as they survive.
Yeah, the chipper scene is not for her. That's for sure.
Oh no, it's not. And I noticed at 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock at night, the 7,
didn't make any difference.
It just said viewer discretion advice. Was like, what are you people about to do? Oh, they're putting her through the wood chipper. Holy crap, they put her through the wood chipper.
Yep.
Well done, Blacklist. Good heavens. Anyway.
Burial is going to cost a lot less for her family, though.
Reddington.
After the wood chipper. Yeah. So Reddington, I think that there is. Am I the only one who's noting that Red got a little weird? There is something weird going on with Liz and Red. Each one is weird on their own, and together they're even weirder. I'm starting to think that Liz suspects already that Red is not telling her everything that she knows.
If she doesn't, then she's an idiot. I mean, he's never told her everything. And he's straight up told her, don't ever expect that I'm telling you everything. I mean, It's the one truth he's actually given her.
Husband. It's like she goes there and she tells them about Navarro, but the police already knew about Navarro because they interrogated him. What I'm surprised is that the FBI hasn't taken that crime scene because it involved a federal agent.
I think it's just too close. I don't know. I don't know why they wouldn't, but we've seen, I mean, because they handled Agnes's case, so I don't know why they haven't. I'm not sure why the task force isn't on it.
Mm-hmm. And definitely they may have, and then just the local police took it, or that may be a plot point. Why is the task force not investigating? Especially if, well, that makes sense. If Garvey is involved with the local police, then it makes perfect sense that he's not going to give that up.
Well, and he might not, and also it may be that they're still trying to repair their reputation after early season 4 or early season 5. Hang on. Janet was season 5, yeah? 4?
Janet?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, I've completely lost track.
Season 4. Season 4.
Yeah. But the whole bit with, you know, getting the reputations back and all of that. And
that was season 4, yeah.
And all of that, you know, I think they're still trying to kind of recover from that. Mm. And so, I mean, because Liz made a big deal when she left about saying, you will continue giving them blacklisters. This is what you're doing. And so that may have been part of it, is that they don't have the leeway to take on a personal case of sorts. You know, I mean, that's a possibility.
Well, it's also, I'm not sure, and I have a feeling that Garvey is involved in the local police. I have a feeling that this whole thing, what Garvey said to Tom about wanting Red to harness his power, like it was, you know, blackmail or something, that wasn't it. But that may have been what he said. But I don't think that makes any sense. Because when you got something like that, you find another way of contacting him. The fact that he wasn't eager to use the redial feature, but he wanted somebody to call him, tells me that there is something very deeply personal between Garvey and Red. I wouldn't be surprised if we get a full finale and he's like, hi, brother. You still around?
Maybe.
There is something... If it's not brothers like siblings, then it's like, you know, Army brothers or Navy brothers.
That may be, yeah. Military.
Something in this seems incredibly personal. The fact that he doesn't use a redial, they want somebody to call, but he was very eager to go to meet him in the motel.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I don't have... It's one of the things that's kind of been holding me off on. I've got a fic that I've been wanting to write that's kind of been holding me off is because of that. That's one of the questions I have that I'm not sure of who Garvey is.
No, he knew that Liz had come back, and about the same, the detective tells Liz, yeah, you came back the day before yesterday at this time. So you know that they got her watching. And immediately after, Garvey receives that Liz is back. I don't know. To me, it's like, there's a connection there. I don't know where it is, but there is certainly a connection. So Red seems a little shifty there. I think that...
Red always seems shifty.
Yeah, unusually shifty and unusually cold with Liz. I don't know if it's because he finds hard to talk to her about all this, because he seems to be the one holding her back. He seems to be the good angel telling Liz, don't do this, don't go down this road.
Oh,
and Cooper is like, yeah.
I did not see... He said Cooper was the good angel. And I saw that as such a manipulative sort of situation of, this is what I need to happen, and you're the one that she sees as the good one, so let me manipulate you into doing this if I can get you to do it.
See, I thought that he was saying that the contrary. He's the one who doesn't want Liz going in there, and Cooper is like, I got it. I understand her. And after he said that, Red said, we're the two angels in there, but I think it's, in this case, it's reverse. Also because it's convenient for him, because eventually Liz is going to get to him and it's not going to be pretty.
And see, that's it drives me crazy. I mean, and to be fair, it's a trope that many TV shows do. This is not just Blacklist. Many TV shows do it, and it comes with the ego. And Red certainly has an ego. That he thinks he can hide this from her. And it's like, you look at it and you're just sitting there going, honey, have you never... Do you have amnesia? Do you not know what's been happening? She's going to track this down until she finds an answer. And once she finds an answer, she's going to be more pissed than if you just came to her and said, this is what happened. And she would be livid. But if he came to her with it, there might be, legit remorse. But James the other day...
That's what he... Yeah.
James the other day released a statement. He said, "No, Red doesn't feel guilty. He thinks that he gave Tom enough warning there."
But that's Red.
And I've heard people. I've heard people angry at James over that. I'm like, it's not James's fault. I said, James.
That's what Red would say.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm not at all surprised. That's what Red feels like. Not at all. I said, I'm pissed at him over it, but that doesn't mean. I said, but don't be angry at James. James is just saying what the character's doing. James just knows his character inside and out. But
yeah, Red is not going to be like, oops, until Liz puts him and puts a gun in his face or in his mouth and tell him,
oh, I hope so.
Exactly what is that you did.
I had someone the other day say that they hoped that Liz killed Red. I said, oh gosh, no. I said, that poor woman's been through too much. I said, I finally gotten to the point that if Red self-sacrifices, I think I could handle it. In fact, I know I could at this point. I'd be okay with it. Because
I'm not sure that's not going to happen.
Many redemption arcs end with a character that's their redemption. Is the final act of redemption is they self-sacrifice, and I've seen that for a while with Red. That's a high possibility, and but. I do not, and I don't think it will be. I don't foresee this in the show, but I've had a friend that said that she hoped that, that Liz killed him. I said, no, that's because even if she did it in a moment of passion, of anger, and stab the pin into the artery and let him bleed out, I said, that would destroy her even more. I said, no, don't do that to her. Absolutely not. Mm-hmm. I said, but I need them to find some path. And as of right now, the only path I see is self-sacrifice, in which he figures out what he's done wrong, he admits it, and then he ends up dying for it to either dying or leaving. One or the other. Dying or leaving. For good. I mean, because that's something he's never been able to do is leave for good. And so even if he faked his death and legitimately went away and Liz thought he was gone, I would be okay with that at this point. Because there's going to have to be something that proves he gets it. Because he spent 4.5 seasons.
He's never going to get it.
He better. He's the lead freaking character. Character development. It's needed. He ain't got it yet.
He ain't never gonna get it.
Then you better, or else there's something severely wrong with this writing.
Why? That's who Red is. I can tell you what the thing is. Where the thing is that this whole thing to me, see, where I stand, I see it and I look at perfectly. Everything makes perfect sense. So. This entire thing is a giant misunderstanding between Red and Katerina. And there is only one redemption. Katerina forgives him. That's the only redemption that Red can get. And in that path and in that thing, they have destroyed countless people's and lives and everything, including their own. So I'm not sure that there is a need for redemption for Red. He has to, and I think that he has done a lot of change and growth. Remember when you said he had no change and growth, and then I showed you Tom?
I am aware of that. There have been micro changes, but the big one where he learns that he keeps not trusting the one person he needs to trust. I don't care if he trusted Tom.
Why can't he trust Liz?
His daughter.
That's a question.
It's his family. He keeps asking for blind trust in him. He needs to give it to her.
I have a feeling that we're going to find a few things about that fire that are surprising.
Liz. All right, Liz.
Liz is, to me, actually, this episode was a lot more about Ressler and Cooper and Red than it was about Liz. But boy, I mean, that scene, I got to say, she had some nice scenes.
Oh, she did. I do need to make this comment because I heard a lot of people over time, and it was even something that I wasn't overly fond of. I thought around season 3, when he worked with the task force to help clear Liz's name, I wanted them to bring him in to the task force. I think that if they had really wanted to work with Tom, that would have been how to do it. And then when they brought Halcyon in, that would have been the route. But they didn't do any of that because, whatever, it's blind.
We don't know where they're going. I have a feeling I know where they're going.
I know you do. But regardless, people were complaining that Tom was kind of on the outskirts and that he never really... They felt like he didn't have a place.
Belong.
Yeah. That he was either Mr. Dad or he was running... he was doing his own thing, kind of on the outskirts.
Tom Bond or Mr. Dad.
Yeah, and that was a complaint, and I understood it to a degree, that it kind of felt like he was on the outskirts there. They've killed Tom. Liz is the new Tom. She's not Miss Mom because she gave her kid up, but she is on the outskirts. She's not playing nice with the task force. She doesn't want anything to do with their cases.
Ooh, that was cold with Samar.
Well, no, it wasn't cold. She said, I want to know about domestic and boring. I want to know that. I don't want to know about the case. She does not want to work with them. She wants to be their friend. She does not want to work with them. Because she is focused. She's laser focused on this.
Yeah, but when Samar is like all kind of nice, like, where's the badness? It's just like, well, I gave her up. Nothing. Just turn and move away.
Are you shocked that Liz didn't tell her that? I mean, she's embarrassed. No, not embarrassed isn't the right word. She hates it. I think that she despises the fact that she had to give her up. But she also knew that in the situation she's in, that was the best option. But just because
you know that she's not going to ever get her back, right? I don't think she will ever be. She will become like Red, watching her from a distance.
Oh, God.
She's going to come back.
Never write a
and
story.
She's going to be, and she's going to look at Agnes, and Agnes is going to be super happy with Scotty, and she's going to look at herself and take a good look at what she's become and realize exactly in that moment why Red didn't come back for her.
And then I will regret ever watching this show. If she's
beautiful.
No,
because it brings it full circle.
No, that's disgusting. That is pointless. That is useless. Characters need to learn from their parents' mistakes. They need to grow. If
growth can be had and if learning can be had, sometimes the circumstances show you that it doesn't matter what you do, the circumstances are going to always just bring one result. That there are some things we can't change.
We're going to differ on that. Let's move on. That's
How come that you get to rant and I never get to do a little rant?
You're the one that wanted me to rant last week. That was on you. I would have been happy stewing my bitterness last week.
Because people weren't able to see your looks. That's why. Besides, you didn't even need to talk. I think you radiated through the waves. It's just like it got there. You don't even need to talk. Trust me on that, guys. I'm seeing her, and I can tell you that you didn't even need to hear her talk. It was there. So,
how about this week? Am I any better?
Huh?
Am I any
yeah,
better?
you're better. Yeah, you're definitely much better. Which one was your favorite crazy Liz moment?
Okay.
The dragging?
Yes.
The glass table?
No, the dragging. The cuffing the dude and dragging him. One, because he was too much of a blithering idiot to hop onto the running board. And two, because that was Liz. That was 500% Liz.
That was really fun.
I
it's
had
like,
a lot of fun
don't walk away from me. And she knew exactly what she was doing. The guy was going to come back. He was going to put his hand in the car. And she was going to cuff him.
Because she's a profiler.
Yep,
she read him like a book.
I mean, that was great, but honestly, I prefer the part about when she shoots the cook.
That wasn't bad.
Oh, that was so.
The burning the guy money.
Is like, yeah.
Yeah, that was nice.
It was great, and it reminded me so much of Red with Yabari's guys and burning the money.
Yeah.
I mean, we're getting all this nice things. Oh, Red and Prescott when he burned him. We're getting a lot of fire symbols now. It's like the imagery is like every episode we get fire, fire, fire. At least burning the money was great. Now, what did you feel that level of violence was? You made that comment that the level of violence that Liz had was more according to her character.
Yeah, I can't explain it. I'm not sure I can really explain it. I just felt like it made more sense. Maybe it was the focus, just the fact that she had a goal and she was after Tom's killers, and so she wasn't just needlessly, I mean, and I'm not saying that it was needless murder out in Alaska, because, I mean, the people were trying to kill her. I mean...
Mm-hmm. It was them or her.
Yeah, I mean, I have no problem with people killing people if it's them or them, you know, I mean, it's, survival.
Survival instincts.
But she, as far as we know, she didn't kill Pee-wee. She didn't kill Tracksuit. She didn't kill whatever the idiot's name was that she choked. She was going to be willing to if she needed to, but she
that scene was so much like the fake Berlin Kinski's assassin with Cooper.
Oh,
remember?
I hadn't thought about that. Interesting. I thought the level of
just a little glint in the eye when she's doing these things that is fun.
She reminded me a little of season 1 Tom. Like over Jesse, you know?
Yeah, I'm having fun here.
I don't know if fun is the correct word, but ready to do what she needed to. And but I do think that the first kill was Navarro, because I don't think she was expecting it, because I mean he got a piece of glass to the neck and bled out, and she's going, okay, this is okay. And
it's funny because they were saying that they were going to bring another Blacklist, and I said she's starting to accumulate bodies, and I have a feeling it might be the stew maker. Couldn't you believe it is going to be the stew maker?
I mean, it's not going to be him, but...
No, but he's just going to study those. Did you notice that she has records that she's always kept about the Blacklist of her own? She's not going into the FBI to get these records. She's going into a storage unit. So little Miss Liz had been keeping a copy of every one of the Blacklist. So she's always been trying to find out what is the Blacklist about.
Wouldn't you?
Yep.
I mean, come on.
Yeah, I would. Especially if I suspect that Red was my father.
I mean, a dude shows up on your doorstep, basically, and says, I'm gonna make you famous, Lizzie. Okay. And won't tell me how he knows me? Yeah, I'd get to the bottom of it.
So I suspect that, as I suspected a long time ago, that she was always suspected, and I made post after post, like tracking every flip and flop, and say people were like, oh, but the writers don't know how to write. I say, well, wait a minute. Once you start to put this, track what she's doing, then it makes perfect sense. She thought Red was her dad, and every time that he rejected her, or when she got jealous about Jennifer, the flip flops are perfectly explainable. So I'm all for that. I think that you're right. Once she realized this thing was going on, she's like, I'm keeping my own records. Thank you very much. You also had a note about Liz doing a hard blink.
And that is what I was about to bring up to you. I was waiting for you to finish. The hard blink, when she started cuffing Navarro. And anybody that follows my blog knows that I got very fascinated with Tom's hard blinks, that I saw them. I don't have any sort of degree in body language or anything. I have a English lit degree. And so now the joke is that we kind of just went after everything, and because we dissected character and did character analysis, that we kind of had a little bit of everything, but as far as I could tell, what I gathered from the hard blink with Tom was sort of a reset, was a preparation for whatever was about to happen. And Liz, it seems to be both situations probably a stress-related reaction to it. Definitely with Liz. The one that I can think of off the top of my head with Liz is when Red was missing at the end of season 3, right before she got arrested. It was mid-season finale, season 3. Kings of the Highway, when she had the guy in his apartment that she'd lifted the phone off of, and she had him at gunpoint, and she had she was standing up where she said, "Where's my friend?" There was a very hard blink there where she was angry. She was trying to rein in the emotions and focus on what she needed to get. And that's what we saw here, is she handed him the zip ties and told him to cuff himself. And we saw a very brief hard blink there with her getting herself prepared for the situation at hand. She was about to face a man that had tried to kill her, that had been involved with killing her husband, that was... her entire world has been upended again, and he is partially responsible, and she is ready to handle this, and she's getting prepared for that. I love those, and I've never quite decided if I feel like that's just something that's happening, or if it's something Liz learned from Tom, or, because we don't see Red do it, so it's not like it's an inherited trait of sorts. So I'm kind of wondering if Liz learned it from Tom subconsciously.
Oh, we always mimic a little bit, but there is also, I don't know if you saw in my 12 Days of Christmas series, but there is another character who does it, and that's Carla. She does a hard blink when she's under the table.
Okay.
Yeah, I know. Nobody believes in it. Hey, all I can say is, if I'm happen to be right, boy, I'm going to just have a feast.
Yeah, and kudos to you if you're right, but I'm
going to put it in like blinking neon lights.
We'll have a conversation after, depending on if you're right or wrong. There are 2 conversations that can be had.
None of them seem good.
Well, if you're right, I suppose it's good for you.
Yeah, but I suspect that if I'm right in a lot of things, a lot of people are going to be at least in Tumblr, they're going to be disappointed. I don't see the same level of disappointment in other platforms.
From what I hear, the numbers have been good for the watch.
Actually, it's gone like higher and higher.
Yeah, and okay, it's... I will readily admit to not being a casual viewer. I'm here for very specific... Well, I was here for very specific things. At this point, I'm kind of on the razor's edge trying to decide if I'm going to be here or not. But what I have been saying since is that, you know what? If the casual audience, the ones that have the numbers to keep this show going, continue to watch, and NBC renews, then the Johns get a new season. if they screwed it up, they screwed it up. I'm not a casual viewer. I have an influence. And so, you know, and even the casual viewers that I know, they're friends of mine. So they're going to probably lean more towards like I do, whether they're watching it as a fandom viewer or not.
Well, we'll cross that bridge when we get to the bridge. If you're there at the bridge to cross it when the time comes.
We'll see. I'm going to do an evaluation at the end of season 5, see where, because John's sitting there going, it's going to be the biggest, you know, cliffhanger yet.
Oh, I have a list of things that can be.
As a writer, I will say that you always want that big cliffhanger. And I enjoy my cliffhangers. I'm like, I had someone tell me I was like the queen of cliffhangers the other day. I'm like, yeah, I know. Because every writer loves their well, I guess not every writer, but a lot of writers love our cliffhangers. Part of me begrudges him for it because I'm like, dude, you better have a season 6 in the bag if you're gonna leave us with this. Because, like, I hate when they leave the really crappy cliffhangers, you know, and don't have a wrap up. I would hope that if something happens and they don't get a full season, they at least give them time to wrap it up. I
at least
very
2-3 episodes to just wrap it.
Well, I mean, even more, give them half a season to wrap it up. They can manage that for as long and as much money as Blacklist has made them.
Well, it will yield them more money if it has an answer than if you leave it halfway, because halfways don't get picked up as much as a whole thing.
I would hope that's true. Yes, that seems accurate to me. But regardless, we'll see. I have zero control over this. Nobody really, you know, there's a few people that care what I think of, but none of them make decisions as far as I've been able to tell. So...
Are you excited about next week with Nathan Lane?
Okay, I love Nathan Lane. Okay, so I was a huge Lion King fan as a kid, and so I was joking with the roomie, as I'd forgotten that next week was the 100th episode, and so after we finished, we'd both, you know, gone off to our parts of the apartment, and I sent her a text and said, by the way, Timon's the Blacklister next week. She went, why Blacklist? Why? And so, and I also love him off the producers. I don't know if anybody's a musical fan. He was in the producers, and he was fantastic.
He was so much fun.
He's been in so many things, but those are my two big things for Nathan Lane. And I love the man. He's a fantastic actor. Love him dearly. And I've never seen him as a villain, but I could see him being a very good villain. I feel like he would pull it off. I'm assuming that's what he is. I'm assuming that, I mean, every once in a while we'll have a blacklister. It's not necessarily a villain. You know, that's on Red's side. Yeah. You know, maybe not on the
fun thing is the Lincoln Penny is making an appearance.
Who?
The Lincoln Penny.
Oh.
The one that he took from Grayson Place.
Right. Interesting.
That's what he needed it. It's something about it. And I saw one of the pictures. It has like a series, so there's like a message in there encoded. So I guess they're both going after some legendary thing. I love treasure hunts. So this, I'm like a kid. Like, we're going to get a treasure hunt.
I'm not looking at any extra stuff lately. I'm watching the previews for the next week, but that's the extent of the digging I'm doing. So you're totally on the theories here, because if you're going to ask me what my theories are or anything, it's going to be 500% based on what I've seen on the screen, not on any of the interviews, because I'm not reading them, not on any of the extras that they're videotaping, because I'm not watching them.
There is only one kind of thing that I take into consideration is when, for example, they say, well, you know what, that thing about Katerina calling Konstantin Alexander, that was a bluff. Or, we should have had, you know, Liz had a burn and she was grabbing her by the wrist. That was probably not a good scene to have included, but we did. Or when he wraps up the 2017, which was, to me, the entire point of the interview. And the whole thing about the 2017, which is important because I think it's going to come back.
I'm not sure what you're talking about there, 2017.
Oh, the 2017, he explained that.
What 2017?
That whole thing about the 2017 plan of Peter Peter Kochopoulos had a 2017 plan.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, and I think that this is going to become relevant again, and that's the reason why they brought it up. And there's two factions. There were two factions in the cabal. The cabal was always made. They wanted to bring down the Soviet Union. They used 25 years to enrich themselves, and then they're going to bring back the Cold War. That was always the plan, and everybody was on board with that. But Peter started feeling that the world has become unstable. And he was the radical people who were saying, this is too much, it's going to be unstable, we need to stop this, we need to get it back. So he advanced the plan by creating this destabilization. Well, Fitch wanted to wait until 2017, because that was a plan. So he was the old guard. And so the interesting part about that is that the whole thing about the troll farmer was supposed to have happened was as part of the plan. That's what Red had been cultivating it, because it was supposed, and I don't think that they pulled it off because it just became a little too much close to events, but that's what it was happening. It was supposed to be meddling. The troll farmer was creating things that were in there, and then that's what Red had it on retainer. So I don't know how they're going to incorporate, but the fact that they actually had a letter written by one of the writers delivered in that interview kind of like gets you like, that's important at this point. So that's the only kind of things that I pay attention, because people trying to decipher John Buckingham that don't speak Red speak, they are so far off that it's not even funny.
And to be fair, even when you think you speak Red speak, sometimes you don't.
His job is to create interest. That's it.
I agree. No, his job is to write. But yes, in part to create interest. But his job is.
You're a little sour.
I'm a lot sour at John right now. I never thought I would be. I think that's part of my bitterness, is that I never thought I would be sour at John. I'm more sad than anything, because I had writers that really hit me hard on another show and kind of destroyed my opinion about TV writers. And John brought me back around, because he is good. He's very talented. And I don't know. I mean, I can't give the end-all response until the show's wrapped and everything comes together, because there's so much that you come back to later and you're like, oh, crap, that's where they were going. Okay. And that's why I've always been so hesitant when people ask me for absolutes on this show. Would you leave if this happened? I'm like, I can't foresee a situation which is what happened, so no. But there are a lot of times I don't foresee their situations. I never foresaw a situation which they kill Tom like they did. I think it was a horrible decision, but I'm not on the writing team. They didn't ask for that. So we'll see at the end of it. I truly hope that my faith's restored, but as of right now, it is kind of decimated. I don't know. We'll see.
I love it.
Like, you're twisted.
All right. So I think that pretty much wraps up this episode.
It is. And I will say at least the writing seemed back on par for the episode.
Yeah, I didn't have a problem with the...
I know you didn't. I did. One. I'm saying for me. When I speak for myself, I speak for myself. I'm not speaking for anybody else. For me, the writing was back more onto my level of what I expect out of the Blacklist. And I have very high expectations for this episode, or for this show. And that's one reason I judge it so harshly, is because I know the talent that they have here. Regardless on if they have, had a switchover on writers, there's just a lot of talent on this team. They have no excuse. Talent. Come on, people. Pick it up. This episode was better.
Yeah, I liked the previous one, and I will continue to like. I have a feeling that it would take a long. I mean, there have been some episodes and that I'm not the craziest about, but even on a rewatch, like, oh my God, you know what? I underestimated this one, or my problem was more what I expected more than what the episode delivered. The ones that I wasn't really happy about.
Okay, The one that I'm not happy about, I expected them to wrap Redemption up with some sort of semblance of satisfactory wrap-up. They did not. Ergo, I hated the episode. There we go. Anyway, on that note...
We're going to hear about that one for a bit, guys.
I will never
And I'm
be
sure
over
that
this.
a lot of our listeners feel the same. I would have liked it a little bit more, too. I'm not going to lie. It would have been nice.
It's not so much more. I understand time limits. I'm not an idiot. I understand there are time limits and that this was a show that did not make it past season 1. They had 8 episodes and that they had a lot of viewers from Blacklist that didn't watch it, and so they may not have known everything that happened. I get all of that. They did not take the time to make it make sense, and that is what I feel like. If you had, I don't know, give them a freaking 24-hour brainstorm, you could have come up with something. And if not, then give it 24 hours more.
But we don't know that is all we're going to get first.
It doesn't matter. They already screwed it up. What they gave us was such a screw up.
I don't feel that.
Well, okay. I felt recently that you've told me I'm wrong a lot. I'm going to tell you you're wrong.
Maybe.
I disagree with you 500% on that.
I know. I mean, it's not that I say, hey, it was what I wanted. No, but
it's not what I wanted, nor did I feel like it was up to par with their talent level. And we could go over this. We're never going to agree on this. We
no,
are.
But my point was that we don't know that this is it. I think that was the wrap up of the Whitehall storyline, not the wrap up of the whole Tom and who took him and all that. And I know you say, oh, no, it doesn't matter now. Yes, it does, because I think that connects with the mythology. There is too much coincidence that the year that Tom was taken was the same year that Katerina stopped bringing Liz to the Tacoma Park house. In 1988, when she was 3 years old, is when those growth marks stop.
Anyway, we'll see what they do. We'll see. I don't.
Well,
he's a plot point.
We'll pick it up next week with the 100th episode, and it should be a really fun one. I'm always up for watching Nathan Lane, and James Spader seems to me like a party.
Yeah. Hey, let's go, people. That'll be fun. So we are on Facebook, on Twitter, and on Tumblr, and then you can listen to us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and YouTube. And we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.